I never thought I would be the one to turn the tables. But here we are. The moment my son-in-law, Mark, called me a financial burden during a family dinner felt like 1,000 knives slicing through my heart. I had spent years supporting my family, both emotionally and financially, only to be treated like a leech. As I sat there, sipping my wine while the laughter echoed around me, I felt an unfamiliar calmness wash over me. I would not react in anger. Instead, I would plot my course with quiet determination. They had no idea of the power I held and the secrets I was ready to unveil. I'm Helen, and this is my story of how I reclaimed my dignity and turned the tables on those who underestimated me. Where are you watching from? Subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. I wake up every morning at 5:30, same as I have for the past 40 years. The coffee maker hums to life as I shuffle through my daily routine, thinking about the endless list of things my family needs. Today, like every day, I'll be the one they turn to when the bills pile up. Morning, Helen. My husband Tom mumbles as he stumbles into the kitchen. Did you remember to transfer money to Sarah's account for Emma's school supplies? Already done, I reply, pouring his coffee. $300, just like she asked. He nods absently, already reaching for his phone. That's the extent of our morning conversation these days. I've become the family's ATM, dispensing funds with a smile, while everyone else goes about their lives. My daughter Sarah calls around noon, as she always does when she needs something. Mom, can you help us out this month? Mark's commission check was smaller than expected, and we're short on the mortgage payment. How much do you need? I ask, already pulling out my checkbook. Just $1,500. We'll pay you back next month, I promise. It's the same promise she's made for the past 3 years. I've stopped keeping track of how much they owe me. What's the point? They're family. I'll transfer it this afternoon, I tell her. You're a lifesaver, Mom. I don't know what we'd do without you. But she hangs up before I can respond, probably rushing off to whatever activity fills her day, while I work extra hours at the clinic to cover everyone else's expenses. The irony isn't lost on me. At 62, I should be thinking about retirement, maybe traveling with Tom or finally writing that book I've always talked about. Instead, I'm working longer hours than ever, supporting not just my own household, but Sarah's family too. When Mark lost his job 2 years ago, I co-signed loans for him, helped him start his consulting business, even let them move in with us for 6 months. I never asked for gratitude, just basic respect. That evening, Tom and I sit at our kitchen table, paying bills as we do every month. The Visa bill is high again, he says, frowning at the statement. Sarah needed groceries and Emma's dance lessons went up, I explain, plus Mark's business expenses. Helen, maybe we should set some boundaries. We're dipping into our retirement savings. I look at my husband of 38 years, noting the new lines around his eyes, the gray that's crept into his beard. He's worried, but he won't say what we're both thinking, that our own children are bleeding us dry. They're struggling. Tom, what else can we do? He sighs and reaches across the table to squeeze my hand. You're too generous for your own good. Later that night, I lie awake thinking about the patterns that have formed in our family. I'm the solution to everyone's problems, the safety net that catches them when they fall. But who catches me when I'm the one falling? My phone buzzes with a text from Sarah. Thanks again for today, Mom. You're the best. 3 words and an emoji. That's what 40 years of sacrifice gets me. I close my eyes and try to remember when I stopped being a person and became just a resource. Was it when Sarah was born And I put my teaching career on hold? When Tom's business struggled and I took on extra shifts? When Mark joined the family and suddenly our expenses doubled? Somewhere along the way, I became invisible, except when someone needed something. My opinions don't matter at family gatherings. My feelings are secondary to everyone else's needs. I'm Helen the helper, Helen the provider, Helen the reliable one who never says no. But lying here in the dark, feeling the weight of everyone's expectations pressing down on my chest, I wonder what would happen if I did say no. What would happen if Helen the provider suddenly disappeared? The thought is both terrifying and oddly liberating. The invitation arrives on cream-colored cardstock, elegant and formal. Mark's company is throwing a holiday party, and spouses are invited. Sarah calls me immediately. "Mom, can you watch Emma Saturday night? Mark's boss will be there, and this could be really important for his career." "Of course," I say automatically, then pause. "What about your regular babysitter?" "She's busy, and you know Emma loves staying with you and Dad." "I do know that. Emma is the light of my life. My 8-year-old granddaughter who still thinks I'm the most interesting person in the world. For her, I'd do anything." "We'll pick her up around 6 on Saturday," Sarah continues. "The party starts at 7. "What should I tell her about dinner?" "Oh, she can eat whatever you're having. You know how easy she is." After hanging up, I realized Sarah never asked what Tom and I had planned for Saturday night. She simply assumed we'd be available, as we always are. Friday evening, Tom and I are watching the news when my phone rings. It's Mark. "Helen, I need a favor. Can you lend me your car tomorrow? Mine's making that noise again, and I can't afford to fix it right now." "What about Sarah's car?" "She's using it to get ready for the party. You know how women are with their preparations." I bristle at the casual dismissal. "I was planning to take Emma to the park tomorrow." "Come on, Helen. This is important. My boss is going to be there, and I can't show up in a car that sounds like a dying elephant." Tom looks at me from across the room, eyebrows raised. I can see the question in his eyes. "Are you going to say yes again?" "I suppose we could walk to the park," I concede. "You're a saint. I'll pick it up around 4. That night, Tom and I have our first real argument in months. "You let them walk all over you," he says as we're getting ready for bed. "They're family, Tom. This is what families do for each other." "Is it? When's the last time Mark offered to help us with anything? When's the last time Sarah asked how you're doing instead of what you can do for her?" I can't answer because he's right, and we both know it. Saturday arrives gray and drizzly. Emma bounces through our front door at 6 sharp, full of energy and stories about school. "Grandma, can we make cookies?" she asks, already pulling ingredients from my pantry. "Of course, sweetheart." As we measure flour and sugar, Emma chatters about her friends and her upcoming school play. This is what I love about spending time with her. She sees me as a person, not just a problem solver. "Grandma, why do Mommy and Daddy always seem worried about money?" The question catches me off guard. I pause, cookie dough on my hands. "What makes you ask that, Emma?" "They whisper about it a lot, and Daddy gets that angry face when the mail comes. I realize that even an 8-year-old can see what the adults in this family pretend doesn't exist. Mark's financial troubles aren't hidden as well as he thinks. Sometimes grown-ups worry about things that aren't really as bad as they seem. I tell her, though I'm not sure I believe it myself. Later that evening, after Emma's asleep in the guest room, Tom and I sit in unusual silence. "I've been thinking about what you said," I finally admit. About Mark and Sarah. About boundaries. About saying no sometimes. Tom sets down his book and looks at me seriously. What brought this on? Emma asked about their money problems tonight. If she can see it, then it's worse than I thought. Helen, they're adults. They need to figure this out themselves. But what if they can't? What if they lose the house? What if Emma suffers? What if they never learn to stand on their own feet because we keep catching them every time they fall? I know he's right. But the thought of watching my family struggle when I have the power to help feels impossible. Still, something is shifting inside me, a growing awareness that my constant giving might be enabling rather than helping. Sunday morning, Sarah and Mark arrived to pick up Emma, both looking slightly worse for wear. How was the party? I ask. Awkward, Sarah admits. Mark's boss kept talking about fiscal responsibility and living within your means. Very pointed. Mark's jaw tightens. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Easy for him to judge when he inherited his money. I noticed Tom's sharp look at Mark's comment. We've both worked for everything we have. No inheritance in sight. As they're leaving, Mark mentions casually, "Oh, Helen, I put gas in your car, but I used your credit card from the glove compartment. Hope that's okay?" He's already walking to their car before I can respond. Tom's hand lands heavy on my shoulder. "That's it," he says quietly. "That's the last straw." I watch them drive away and realize the storm that's been building in our family is about to break. The call comes Tuesday morning while I'm getting ready for work. Sarah's voice is tight with panic. "Mom, we have a problem. The bank called about our mortgage payment. It bounced." I stop brushing my teeth. "What do you mean it bounced? I transferred the money last week." "I know, but there were other things. Emma's dental bill, the car repair, groceries. It all added up faster than we expected." "Sarah, that was your mortgage money." I know. But we can fix this. Can you just cover it one more time? We'll figure out a payment plan with you." I stare at myself in the bathroom mirror, toothpaste, foam around my mouth, and see a woman who's been having this same conversation for years. "How much this time?" $1,800. I know it's a lot, but I'll take care of it," I interrupt, already resigned to another dip into our savings. "You're amazing, Mom. I don't deserve you." She's right. She doesn't. That evening, Tom and I sit across from each other at dinner, the familiar weight of financial stress settling between us like an unwelcome guest. "How much this time?" he asks without preamble. $1,800. He sets down his fork. "Helen, we can't keep doing this." "What choice do we have? Let them lose their house?" Maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. The words hang, in the air between us, harsh but honest. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes with a text from Mark. "Helen, can you call me? We need to talk." I call him back immediately. "What's going on, Mark?" "I need to be straight with you about something. The business isn't going as well as I've been saying." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm behind on the loan payments, the ones you co-signed." My blood runs cold. "How behind?" 3 months on the equipment loan, 2 months on the business line of credit." "Mark, those loans are in my name too. If you default..." I know. That's why I'm calling. I need help making the payments until things turn around." "How much help?" "About $3,000 a month, just temporarily." I sink into my chair, the magnitude of what he's asking hitting me like a physical blow. "Mark, I don't have $3,000 extra dollars a month." "Sure you do. You and Tom have savings, investments. You've always been good with money." That's our retirement, Mark. Money we've saved for 40 years. Come on, Helen. You're family. This is what family does. There it is again, that phrase that's been used to justify every request, every demand on my resources. I need to think about this, I say. There's not much time to think. The first payment is due Friday. After I hang up, Tom looks at me expectantly. He wants $3,000 a month, I tell him. Tom's face goes through several expressions before settling on something I've never seen before. Cold anger. No, he says simply. Tom, no, Helen. I won't watch you bankrupt us for someone who sees you as nothing but a checkbook. He's Sarah's husband. He's family. Is he? Because family doesn't threaten your financial security. Family doesn't take advantage of your generosity until there's nothing left. We argue for an hour, our voices rising and falling like a tide. Tom wants me to cut them off completely. I want to find a middle ground that doesn't exist. Finally, exhausted, I agree to think about it overnight. But sleep doesn't come. I lie awake calculating numbers, weighing options, trying to find a solution that saves everyone. By morning, I've decided to give Mark one more month, just to buy time to figure something else out. I call him before work. I can help with this month's payment, but that's it. You need to find another solution. Helen, you're a lifesaver. I knew I could count on you. The words that should make me feel good instead make me feel used. Friday evening, the whole family gathers at our house for our weekly dinner. It's a tradition I started years ago, thinking it would keep us close. Now it feels like a performance where everyone pretends our financial arrangement is normal. Mark arrives in a good mood, joking with Emma, complimenting my cooking. Sarah seems relaxed for the first time in weeks. Tom is polite but distant. As we're clearing the table, Mark corners me in the kitchen. Helen, I've been thinking, since you're helping with the business loans, maybe it makes sense to formalize our arrangement. What do you mean? Put me on your accounts. Make me an authorized user. It would make transfers easier and I could handle some of the financial management. You're getting older and this stuff is complicated. I stop loading the dishwasher and turn to face him. You want access to my bank accounts? Just to help out. Think of it as financial planning. Something cold settles in my chest. Mark, I'm 62, not 92. I can manage my own finances. His smile falters slightly. I'm just trying to help, Helen. We're family. There's that word again, wielded like a weapon. I appreciate the offer, but no. The temperature in the kitchen drops 10 degrees. Mark's easy smile disappears completely. You know, Helen, sometimes I wonder if you really understand how much we do for you. What do you mean? I mean, we include you in everything. We bring Emma over so you feel useful. We ask for your help so you feel needed. But let's be honest, you're becoming a financial burden to this family. The words hit me like a slap. Around us, the dinner conversation continues. But I feel like I'm underwater, everything muffled and distant. A burden? Look, I get it. You want to feel important. But constantly bailing us out isn't healthy for anyone. It's enabling behavior. And frankly, it's becoming expensive. I stare at this man I've supported for years. This man whose children I've helped raise. Whose business I've funded. Whose mistakes I've covered. Mark, I think you should go. Helen, don't be dramatic. I'm just being honest. Get out of my house. The kitchen falls silent. Sarah appears in the doorway, sensing the tension. What's going on? Your husband just called me a financial burden, I say, my voice surprisingly steady. Sarah looks between us, confused. Mark, what are you talking about? I was just suggesting that maybe we all need to be more independent. Your mum's been carrying us for too long. Carrying us? Sarah's voice rises. Mom, you know we appreciate everything you do. Do you? Because according to your husband, I'm a burden who needs to stop enabling you. Tom appears behind Sarah, taking in the scene. Emma peers around him, wide-eyed. Maybe we should all take a breath, Tom suggests. No, I say, something hard crystallizing inside me. I think we've all been breathing wrong for too long. Mark tries to backtrack. Helen, you're taking this the wrong way. I didn't mean... You meant exactly what you said. And you know what? You're right. This arrangement isn't healthy, for any of us. The silence that follows is deafening. I can see the moment when Mark realizes what he's done, when Sarah understands the implications, when Tom recognizes that something fundamental has shifted. Mom, Sarah starts, but I hold up my hand. I think everyone should go home now. We'll talk when we've all had time to think. As they gather their things and leave, Emma hugs me tightly. Are you okay, Grandma? I will be, sweetheart. I will be. After they're gone, Tom and I sit in our living room, the echo of harsh words still hanging in the air. I'm proud of you, he says quietly. For what? For finally standing up for yourself. I lean against him, feeling something I haven't felt in years. Clarity. Tom, I want to know exactly how much money we've given them over the past 3 years. You sure you want to know? I'm sure. And I want to know everything about Mark's business loans. Every detail. Tom looks at me carefully. What are you thinking, Helen? I'm thinking it's time I stopped being a burden and started being a problem. I spend the weekend in my home office, surrounded by bank statements, loan documents, and financial records I haven't looked at in years. Tom brings me coffee and sandwiches, understanding that something important is happening. $27,000, I tell him Sunday evening. That's what we've given them in the past 3 years, not counting the loans I co-signed. Tom whistles low. That's more than I thought. And here's the interesting part. Mark's business loans. I'm not just a co-signer, Tom. According to these documents, I'm listed as a 50% owner of his consulting business. I show him the paperwork we signed 2 years ago. He said it was just a formality, remember? That he needed me on the documents for the loan approval. Tom studies the papers. Helen, if you own half the business, then I have access to all the financial records. I have voting right. I have the power to make decisions about the direction of the company. Monday morning, I call my old friend Jane instead of going to work. Jane and I taught together 20 years ago, before she left education to become a financial advisor. She now runs her own successful consulting firm. Helen! What a surprise! How are you? I need your help, Jane. Professional help. We meet for lunch at a quiet downtown restaurant. I lay out the whole situation. The loans, the co-signing, the constant financial support, Mark's comment about me being a burden. Jane listens without interrupting, occasionally making notes on her tablet. So what do you want to know? She asks when I finish. My options. What rights do I have? What power do I actually possess in this situation? Jane smiles and I remember why she was always the smartest person in our faculty meetings. More than you think. Let's start with the business loans. You said you're listed as 50% owner. Yes, but that was just for the loan approval. Helen, ownership doesn't disappear because someone says it was just a formality. Legally, You own half of Mark's business. That means you're entitled to half the profits, half the assets, and you have equal say in all business decisions. My coffee grows cold as Jane explains the implications. You can demand full financial disclosure. You can insist on being involved in all major decisions. You can even force a sale of the business if you believe it's not being managed properly. But I don't know anything about running a consulting business. You don't need to. You just need to know your rights and be willing to exercise them. Jane pulls out her phone. I'm going to give you the number of a business attorney I work with. Tell him I sent you. He'll walk you through everything. Jane, I'm not trying to destroy Mark's business. I just want some respect. Sometimes, respect only comes when people realize they can't take advantage of you anymore. What about the personal loans to your daughter and son-in-law? Those weren't formal loans, just family helping family. Do you have records of the transfers? Bank statements, yes. Then you have evidence of loans, even if there wasn't formal paperwork. In the eyes of the law, money loaned with the expectation of repayment is a debt, regardless of family, relationships. I leave lunch with a folder full of business cards and a head full of possibilities I never knew existed. That afternoon I meet with James Morrison, the attorney Jane recommended. His office overlooks the river, and he has the kind of calm confidence that comes from years of handling complex financial disputes. Your friend Jane explained the basics, he says after reviewing my documents. You're in a much stronger position than you realize. How so? First, the business ownership is clear and legal. You have every right to be involved in the business, operations, and if you believe the business is being mismanaged, you can take action. What kind of action? Demand an audit. Insist on being included in all financial decisions. Force a buyout of your shares at fair market value. Or, if you can prove gross mismanagement, petition for dissolution of the partnership. The words sound foreign and powerful. Second, the personal loans to your family members. Even without formal loan agreements, you have legal standing to demand repayment. If they can't pay, you can pursue other remedies. Like what? Liens on property, garnishment of wages, asset seizure. The same tools any creditor would use. I think about Emma and feel a stab of guilt. I don't want to hurt my granddaughter. Helen, you're not hurting anyone by expecting adults to honor their obligations. In fact, you might be helping your granddaughter by teaching her parents about financial responsibility. That evening, I sit Tom down for a serious conversation. I want to exercise my rights as Mark's business partner. I tell him, what does that mean exactly? It means I'm going to start acting like I own half his business. Because I do. I'm going to demand full financial records, insist on being consulted on all major decisions, and make sure the business is being run properly. Tom is quiet for a long moment. And if Mark doesn't like it? Then Mark is going to learn what it's like to deal with someone who isn't a pushover. Helen, this could get ugly. It's already ugly, Tom. I'm just tired of being the only one who pretends otherwise. Wednesday morning, I call Mark's office. Helen, how are you? Is everything okay? Everything's fine, Mark. I'm calling because I'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss our business partnership. Silence. Our what? Our business partnership. According to the loan documents, I own 50% of your consulting firm. I think it's time I started acting like it. Helen, that was just paperwork for the bank. You know that. Actually, I've been talking to an attorney, and legally, I'm your full business partner. I'd like to review the financial records and discuss the direction of the company. The silence stretches longer this time. Mark? Are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Helen. I think there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding was mine, thinking that family means letting people take advantage of you. I'll see you Friday at 10 a.m. Your office or mine? Helen, wait. Friday at 10, Mark. We have a lot to discuss. After I hang up, I feel something I haven't experienced in years. The thrill of having power and being willing to use it. Tom finds me in the kitchen that evening, humming while I make dinner. You seem different, he observes. I feel different. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm in control of my own life. No regrets? I think about Mark's shocked silence, about the conversation I'll have with Sarah when she inevitably calls, about the family dynamics that are about to change forever. None, I say, and mean it completely. Sarah calls Thursday morning, her voice tight with stress. Mom, Mark told me about your call. What's this about being business partners? I'm ready for this conversation. I've been ready for years. It's about the legal reality of the situation, Sarah. When I co-signed those loans for Mark, I became a legal partner in his business. I'm just starting to act like it. But, Mom, you don't know anything about consulting. You're right, which is why I need to see the books. I need to understand what kind of business I'm invested in. This is going to cause problems. Sarah, I've been causing problems for myself by being too accommodating. It's time I caused problems for other people by standing up for my rights. There's a long pause. Mark's really upset. I imagine he is. Change is always uncomfortable. Mom, can't we just go back to the way things were? You mean where I write checks and stay quiet? Where your husband calls me a financial burden and I smile and take it? He didn't mean that the way it sounded. Sarah, he meant it exactly the way it sounded. The question is whether you're going to keep pretending otherwise or start facing reality. After we hang up, I feel something I haven't felt in years during conversations with my daughter. Like I've been heard. Friday morning arrives gray and drizzle, matching my mood as I drive to Mark's office. It's in a small building downtown, modest but professional. I've been here exactly once. Before, when he first started the business. The receptionist, a young woman named Kelly, recognizes me. Mrs. Thompson, Mark's expecting you. Can I get you some coffee? That would be lovely, thank you. Mark's office is larger than I remembered, with a view of the parking lot and motivational posters on the walls. He stands when I enter looking nervous. Helen, thanks for coming. I think we need to clear up some confusion. There's no confusion, Mark. I own 50% of this business. I'd like to start by reviewing the financial statements for the past 2 years. He sits down heavily. Helen, you're being unreasonable. Am I? Is it unreasonable for a business owner to want to see how her investment is performing? You didn't invest anything. You just signed papers so I could get the loans. I pull out the folder James Morrison prepared for me. Actually, Mark, by co-signing those loans, I became legally responsible for the debt. That makes me an investor whether you acknowledge it or not. I slide a document across his desk. This is a formal request for full financial disclosure. You have 30 days to provide complete records of all business income, expenses, assets, and liabilities. Mark's face goes through several changes as he reads. Helen, this is crazy. We're family. Yes, we are. And family members should treat each other with respect and honesty. Where are those financial records? I don't have them here. Then we'll need to schedule another meeting, when you do have them, along with your accountant. My accountant? Mark, this is a business worth several $100,000 in loans. You do have an accountant, don't you? The look on his face tells me everything I need to know. Mark, please tell me you haven't been managing the books yourself without any professional oversight. I use QuickBooks. It's pretty straightforward. I feel a headache building. Show me. The next hour is enlightening in the worst possible way. Mark's record-keeping is haphazard at best, catastrophic at worst. Income and expenses are mixed together. Business and personal purchases are indistinguishable, and there's no clear picture of profitability. Mark, how do you know if the business is making money? If there's money in the account at the end of the month, we're doing okay. And if there isn't? He shrugs. That's when I call you. The casual way he says it hits me like a physical blow. All these years, I've been his safety net, his backup plan, his solution to poor financial management. This ends now, I say quietly. What? This amateur hour approach to business management. If I'm going to be responsible for these loans, then this business is going to be run properly. I pull out another document. This is a list of changes that need to happen immediately. Professional bookkeeping, monthly financial statements, separation of business and personal expenses, and formal business meetings between the partners. That's you and me. Every month. Mark stares at the list like it's written in a foreign language. Helen, this is too much. I can't afford all these changes. You can't afford not to make them. Mark, the business is losing money. Based on what I can see here, you've been operating at a loss for months. That's not true. Then show me the profit and loss statements that prove otherwise. Silence. Mark, I want you to think very carefully about your next words. Are you going to work with me to fix this business? Or are you going to keep pretending that everything is fine while my financial future goes down the drain with yours? He looks younger suddenly, less confident. What do you want me to do? First, hire a real accountant. Second, clean up these books. Third, start treating this like a real business instead of a hobby that occasionally generates income. And if I don't? Then I'll exercise my rights as a 50% owner to force a sale of the business. We'll liquidate everything, pay off the loans, and you can start over on your own. The threat hangs in the air between us. Mark fidgets with his pen, clearly processing the implications. How long do I have? 60 days to show significant improvement, professional bookkeeping, clean financial statements, and a realistic business plan. And the money I owe you personally? That's a separate issue. We'll discuss repayment schedules after you've proven you can manage this business properly. As I gather my papers to leave, Mark makes one last attempt at manipulation. Helen, Sarah's going to be really upset about this. It's going to cause problems in the family. I stop at the door and turn back to face him. Mark, the problems in this family started long before today. I'm just done pretending they don't exist. Driving home, I feel something I haven't felt in years. The satisfaction of setting clear boundaries and the power that comes with enforcing them. Tom is waiting when I get home, eager to hear how it went. How'd he take it? About as well as you'd expect, but he understands the situation now. Think he'll follow through? I think he'll try. Whether he succeeds is another question. That evening, Sarah calls again. Mom, Mark told me about your meeting. Don't you think you're being a little harsh? Sarah, I'm being responsible. There's a difference. But demanding an accountant and monthly meetings, that seems excessive. For a business with several $100,000 in loans? Sarah, that's basic due diligence. Mark's not a businessman, Mom. He's just trying to make a living. Then maybe it's time he learned to be a businessman, or found a different line of work. The conversation ends stiffly, but I don't feel the usual guilt. Instead, I feel something new. The peace that comes with knowing you've done the right thing, even when it's difficult. As I get ready for bed, Tom asks, "Any regrets?" "Just one." I tell him that I waited so long to start standing up for myself. The call comes at 7 in the morning, 2 weeks after my meeting with Mark. It's Sarah, and she's crying. "Mom, we got a notice from the bank. They're threatening to foreclose on the house." I set down my coffee cup carefully. "What kind of notice?" "It says we're 3 months behind on payments, but that's impossible. You've been helping us." "Sarah, I helped you once. After that, you were supposed to manage the payments yourself." "But Mom, we thought—" "Mark said you understood that we needed ongoing help." "Mark said a lot of things. What exactly did he tell you?" Through her tears, the story comes out. Mark had told Sarah that I'd agreed to cover their mortgage payments indefinitely as part of our business partnership. He'd been pocketing the money I sent for mortgage help and using it for other expenses. "Sarah, I gave you $1,500 once for 1 month's payment. That was 6 weeks ago." "But Mark said—" "Mark lied to you, just like he's been lying to me about the business finances." The silence on the other end tells me she's starting to understand the scope of Mark's deception. "Mom, what do we do? We could lose the house." "You call the bank and work out a payment plan. You figure out what you can actually afford and make realistic arrangements." "Can't you just—" "No, Sarah. I can't just fix this for you anymore. You're going to have to handle this yourself." "But Emma—" "Emma will be fine. Children are more resilient than you think, and she'll be better off learning that her parents are responsible adults than watching them constantly get bailed out by Grandma." After we hang up, Tom looks at me with concern. "That was hard." He observes, "It was necessary." But inside, I'm shaking. Standing up for yourself is exhausting when you've spent 40 years being the family problem solver. 2 days later, Mark shows up at our house unannounced. Tom answers the door, and I hear their voices in the entryway. Mark's agitated. Tom's carefully neutral. "She's in the kitchen," Tom says, and I hear footsteps approaching. Mark appears in the doorway, looking haggard. He's lost weight, and there are dark circles under his eyes. "Helen, we need to talk." "About what?" "About this crusade you're on to destroy my family." I continue chopping vegetables for dinner, not looking up. "I'm not destroying anything, Mark. I'm just not fixing everything anymore." Sarah's a mess. Emma's asking why Mommy cries all the time. The bank is breathing down our necks. "Those are problems you created. They're problems you need to solve. I can't solve them without help." Now I do look up, meeting his eyes directly. "Then maybe you should have thought of that before you called me a financial burden." "I was frustrated. People say things when they're frustrated." "Yes, they do. They say what they really think." Mark slumps into a chair at my kitchen table, uninvited. "Helen, I'm sorry. I was wrong to say that. You're not a burden." "No, I'm not. I'm a person who deserves respect, and I'm a business partner who deserves honesty." "About the business. Did you hire an accountant like I asked?" "I'm looking into it." "That's not what I asked. Did you hire one?" "Helen, Accountants are expensive. Not as expensive as bankruptcy, which is where this business is headed if you don't start managing it properly. I return to my chopping, letting the silence build. Mark fidgets, clearly uncomfortable. "What do you want from me?" he finally asks. "I want you to run the business like a professional. I want you to pay back what you owe me. And I want you to stop treating my daughter like she's responsible for your financial problems. I don't—" "Mark, Sarah called me crying because you let her believe I was covering your mortgage indefinitely. You took money that was meant for your house payment and spent it on other things. That's not frustrated behavior. That's dishonest behavior." His face flushes red. "I was going to pay it back." "With what money? The business is barely breaking even. You have no savings, and you keep spending money you don't have." "The business is doing fine." I dry my hands on a dish towel and pull out a folder from the counter. "These are the financial records you finally sent me. Would you like me to walk you through them?" Mark's expression changes as he recognizes the papers. "Your business lost $12,000 last quarter. You have outstanding invoices dating back 6 months that you haven't collected on. You're paying for a premium office space you can't afford, and you've been mixing business and personal expenses so thoroughly that I can't tell what's legitimate business spending and what's you buying lunch." Each point hits like a hammer. Blow. Mark's shoulders sag with each revelation. "It's not as bad as it looks," he says weakly. "It's worse. Mark, you owe creditors $18,000 beyond the original business loans. You're 3 months behind on your office rent, and you've been using business credit cards for personal expenses. How do you know all that?" "Because I hired a forensic accountant to review your books. As a 50% owner, I have every right to understand what kind of business I'm invested in." The color drains from Mark's face. "You hired someone to investigate me." "I hired someone to investigate our business. There's a difference." Tom appears in the kitchen doorway, having clearly heard the raised voices. "Everything okay in here?" "Mark was just leaving," I say calmly. "Helen, please, give me another chance. I can fix this." "You've had 3 years of chances, Mark. I'm done giving you more time to make the same mistakes." "What does that mean?" I hand him another document from my folder. "It means I'm exercising my rights as a business partner to force major changes. Either you agree to professional management of the business, or I'm petitioning for dissolution of the partnership." Mark scans the document, his face growing paler with each line. "You can't do this." "I can, and I am. You have 2 weeks to decide. Sarah will never forgive you if I lose the business. Sarah will thank me when she's married to a man who takes responsibility for his actions instead of blaming everyone else for his problems." Mark stands up abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. "I thought you cared about this family." "I do care about this family. That's why I'm not going to watch you destroy it with your financial irresponsibility." After he leaves, Tom comes into the kitchen and puts his arms around me. "You're shaking," he observes. "I hate confrontation. But you're doing it anyway. Because the alternative is watching everyone I love suffer while pretending everything is fine." That evening, Sarah calls. Her voice is different. Less pleading, more resigned. "Mom, Mark told me about the business situation. And I'm starting to see some things I didn't want to see before." "Like what?" "Like the fact that every time we have a financial crisis, it's somehow your fault for not giving us enough money, instead of our fault for not managing what we have. It's the first honest thing Sarah has said to me in years." What are you going to do? I ask. We're going to sell the house. Move into something smaller that we can actually afford. Mark's going to get a regular job while he figures out the business situation. How do you feel about that? Scared, but also relieved? It's exhausting living beyond your means. Sarah, I'm proud of you. For what? For facing reality instead of running from it. After we hang up, I sit in my living room feeling something I haven't felt in years. Hope that my family might actually learn to stand on their own feet. Tom joins me on the couch. How do you feel? Like I'm finally parenting again instead of just enabling. Think it'll work? I don't know. But for the first time in years, I feel like we have a chance. The call comes from Emma, which surprises me. My granddaughter has never called me directly before. Grandma? Can I talk to you? Of course, sweetheart. What's on your mind? Mommy and Daddy are fighting a lot. They think I can't hear them, but I can. My heart breaks a little. What kind of fighting, Emma? About money, and about you. Daddy says you're being mean. But Mommy says Daddy hasn't been telling the truth about things. I close my eyes, hating that an 8-year-old is caught in the middle of adult problems. Emma, can I ask you something? Are you scared? A little, but also. Grandma, I think Daddy has been lying to me too. What makes you say that? He told me we couldn't afford new school shoes because Grandma wasn't helping us anymore. But then he bought a new watch, a really expensive one. The pieces of Mark's deception are apparently visible even to a child. Emma, what would you like to happen? I want everyone to stop lying and just tell the truth, even if the truth is scary. Out of the mouths of babes. Would you like to come stay with Grandpa and me for a few days while your parents figure some things out? Can I? I mean, is that okay? I'll call your mother right now. Sarah agrees immediately, sounding relieved. When I pick up Emma that afternoon, the house feels tense. Sarah looks exhausted, and Mark is nowhere to be seen. Where's Mark? I ask. Job interview. He's finally looking for steady work. How are you holding up? I found some things, Mom. Things I wish I hadn't found. She hands me a folder. Mark's been lying about more than just the business. The folder contains credit card statements, loan applications, and bank records that paint a devastating picture. Mark has been taking cash advances on credit cards I didn't know existed, applying for personal loans using inflated income figures, and even attempting to open credit accounts in Sarah's name without her knowledge. Sarah, this is fraud. I know. And Mom, there's more. He's been telling people that you and Dad are wealthy, and that you're supporting us by choice, not necessity. He's been using your generosity as proof that he's successful. The betrayal cuts deeper than I expected. It's one thing to take advantage of family generosity, another entirely to use it as a facade to deceive others. What are you going to do? I don't know. If I report this, he could go to jail. But if I don't, he'll just keep doing it. That evening, Emma helps me make dinner while Tom plays board games with her. She seems more relaxed than I've seen her in months. Grandma, can I tell you a secret? Of course. I'm glad Daddy has to get a regular job. Maybe he'll stop being so worried all the time. Why do you think he's worried? Because when you have a pretend job, you never know if you're going to have money. But when you have a real job, you get paid every week. I realize Emma has been watching and understanding far more than any of us gave her credit for. The next morning, Jane calls. Helen, I've been thinking about your situation. Have you considered that Mark might be in legal trouble? beyond just the business issues. What do you mean? Some of what you've described, using business funds for personal expenses, falsifying loan applications, attempting to open credit accounts in his wife's name. That's not just poor financial management. That's potentially criminal. The word hangs heavy in the air. Jane, I don't want to destroy him. I just want him to be honest. I understand, but Helen, if he's been committing fraud, and you know about it, you have some legal obligations, too. That afternoon, I meet with James Morrison again. Jane's right, he tells me after reviewing Sarah's folder. This goes beyond civil matters. Your son-in-law has potentially committed several felonies. What are my options? You can report it to the authorities, or you can confront him privately and give him a chance to make things right. But, Helen, if you choose the latter, you need to understand that you're taking a risk. If this comes to light later, your failure to report it could be seen as enabling. What would making things right look like? Full financial disclosure, immediate cessation of fraudulent activities, professional financial counseling, and a realistic plan to pay back everything he owes, plus ongoing oversight to ensure compliance. And if he refuses? Then you report it and let the legal system handle it. That evening I have the hardest conversation of my life with Tom. I need to confront Mark with what we know. I tell him, give him one chance to come clean and fix this mess. And if he doesn't, then I call the police. Tom is quiet for a long time. Helen, are you prepared for how Sarah might react if her husband gets arrested? I'm prepared for Sarah to be upset, but I'm not prepared to watch her life be destroyed by someone else's criminal behavior. What about Emma? Emma deserves to grow up in a home where people tell the truth and take responsibility for their actions. Right now, she's learning that lying and cheating are acceptable, as long as you don't get caught. The next morning, I call Mark. We need to meet. Today. And Mark, bring Sarah. It's time for everything to come out in the open. Helen, I'm busy. Mark, I have evidence that you've been committing fraud. You can meet with me today and we can try to resolve this as a family, or I can take this evidence to the police. Your choice. The silence stretches so long, I wonder if he's hung up. What kind of evidence? The kind that could send you to prison. 2:00, my house. Don't be late. After I hang up, I feel a mixture of dread and determination. The confrontation I've been avoiding for years is finally coming, and there's no backing down now. Tom finds me in the kitchen staring out the window. Second thoughts? He asks. No. For the first time in years, I'm completely sure about what I'm doing. Even if it destroys the family? Tom, the family is already destroyed. We've just been pretending otherwise. Maybe it's time to see if we can build something honest from what's left. As 2:00 approaches, I arrange the evidence on my dining room table like pieces of a puzzle that finally reveals the complete picture of Mark's deception. Soon everyone will see what I've been refusing to acknowledge for years. That enabling dishonesty doesn't protect the people you love. It destroys them. They arrive at exactly 2:00. Sarah looking nervous, Mark defiant. Emma is with my neighbor for the afternoon, which is probably for the best. Sit down, I tell them, gesturing to the dining room table where I've arranged all the evidence. Mark remains standing. Helen, I think you're overreacting to... Sit down. Something in my voice makes him comply. Sarah takes the chair beside him, her eyes already scanning the papers spread across the table. Mark, I'm going to ask you some questions. I want you to think very carefully before you answer, because I already know the truth about most of them. Tom positions himself in the doorway, arms crossed. He's not participating, but his presence adds weight to the moment. First question. Have you been using business credit cards for personal expenses? Helen. Sometimes the lines get blurred. Yes or no, Mark? He glances at Sarah, who's staring at a credit card statement. Yes. Second question. Did you take the $1,500 I gave Sarah for your mortgage payment and spend it on other things? I was going to pay it back. Yes or no? Yes. Sarah's sharp intake of breath tells me she hadn't known the full extent of this particular lie. Third question. Have you been falsifying income information on loan applications? Mark's face goes pale. How do you answer the question? I may have rounded up some numbers. Mark. Sarah's voice is quiet but deadly. What loan applications? I slide a document across the table. The personal loan application for $25,000. The one where he claimed to make twice what he actually makes. Sarah studies the paper, her face cycling through confusion, understanding, and finally fury. Mark, you told me this loan was for business equipment. It was? According to this application, it was for debt consolidation and home improvements. Mark, what debt? The silence stretches until it becomes unbearable. Finally, Mark speaks. Credit cards. I got behind on some credit cards. How behind? About $30,000. Sarah stares at him like he's speaking a foreign language. $30,000? On what? Things. Business expenses that didn't get reimbursed. Cash advances when the business account was low. Equipment. Mark. I interrupt his rambling. Show her the watch. His hand instinctively goes to his wrist, where an expensive chronograph gleams under the dining room light. What about my watch? Tell Sarah how much it cost. It was a business expense. How much, Mark? $3,000. Sarah's chair scrapes back as she stands up abruptly. $3,000? While we're facing foreclosure, you bought a $3,000 watch? Sarah, let me explain. Explain what? How you lied to me. How you lied to my mother. How you've been stealing money while I lay awake at night worrying about losing our house. I wasn't stealing. What would you call it? I ask quietly. Mark turns to me, desperation creeping into his voice. Helen, your family. Family helps each other. Family doesn't lie to each other. Family doesn't commit fraud using each other's names. I slide another document across the table. This is a credit card application in Sarah's name. One she never signed. Sarah picks up the paper, her hands shaking. Mark, is this your signature? Sarah, I can explain. Did you forge my signature? I was going to tell you... Sarah's composure finally breaks. You were going to tell me that? You committed identity theft using my name? When, Mark? After I got arrested for fraud I didn't commit? It's not that serious. It's a felony. Sarah's voice rises to a shout. Mark, you could have destroyed my credit, my reputation, my career. Tom steps forward from the doorway. Sarah, maybe you should sit down. No, I don't want to. Sit down. I want to know what else he's lied about. I look at Mark steadily. Do you want to tell her or should I? Tell me what? Sarah demands. Mark's face crumbles. The business is bankrupt. Has been for months. I've been using credit cards and loans to pay basic expenses. Including the money my mother gave us? Yes. And the mortgage payments we thought we were making. I was trying to keep everything together. By lying to everyone, including your wife? Sarah turns to me, tears streaming down her face. Mom, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I know you didn't, sweetheart. What do we do now? I look at Mark, who's slumped in his chair like a deflated balloon. That depends on Mark. He can either take responsibility for what he's done and work to fix it, or I can call the police and let them sort it out. Mark's head snaps up. You'd really call the police on me? Mark, you've committed multiple felonies. You've defrauded banks, creditors, and your own family. Why wouldn't I call the police? Because we're family. No, Mark. We were family when you decided to betray everyone's trust. Now you're just someone who's been committing crimes. Sarah wipes her eyes and looks at her husband with a mixture of love and disgust. Mark, I need you to tell me the truth about everything. Right now. All of it. For the next hour, the full scope of Mark's deception comes to light. The business has been losing money for over a year. He's been juggling credit cards and loans to maintain the illusion of success. He's forged Sarah's signature on multiple documents. He's lied to friends and family about their financial situation. He's even been telling people that Tom and I are wealthy investors in his business. By the end of his confession, Sarah is staring at the table, her face blank. Sarah. I reach across to touch her hand. I don't know who I married, she says quietly. The man I married wouldn't do these things. Sarah, I can fix this. Marky pleads. Give me a chance to make it right. How? How do you fix fraud, Mark? How do you fix lying to everyone who trusted you? I speak into the heavy silence. There is a way, but it requires Mark to do things he's never done before. Like what? Sarah asks. Take full responsibility. Make complete financial disclosure to everyone he's defrauded. Get professional help for his spending and lying. And most importantly, accept the legal consequences of his actions. Legal consequences? Mark's voice is small. Mark, you've committed crimes. There have to be consequences, or you'll just do it again. I won't. You said that 2 years ago, when I first found out about your financial problems. You said, it's 6 months ago when you missed your first loan payment. You said it 2 weeks ago when I demanded to see your books. Why should anyone believe you now? The question hangs in the air like smoke. Mark has no answer because there isn't one. Finally, Sarah speaks. Mark, I want you to leave. Sarah, I want you to pack a bag and leave. I need time to think about whether our marriage can survive this. Where am I supposed to go? I don't know. Figure it out. You've gotten very good at figuring things out on your own. After Mark leaves, Sarah collapses into tears. I hold my daughter while she grieves not just for her marriage, but for the illusion of security that's been stripped away. Mom, what do I do now? Now you start building a life based on truth instead of lies. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be real. What about Emma? Emma is going to be fine. She's already figured out more than you think. As we sit in the fading afternoon light, surrounded by the evidence of years of deception, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. The peace that comes with facing reality, no matter how painful it might be. The reckoning has finally come, and for the first time in years, our family has a chance to heal. 3 days after the confrontation, Mark shows up at my door with a suitcase and red-rimmed eyes. Helen, can we talk? I let him in but don't offer coffee. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt with gestures. I've been thinking about what you said, about taking responsibility. And I want to try. I want to fix this. I study his face, looking for signs of manipulation. What does that mean to you, Mark? Fixing this? I'll get a job, a real job. I'll pay everyone back. That's a start. What else? I'll go to counseling about the lying. And? He looks confused. And what? Mark, you've committed multiple felonies. What about the legal consequences? His face falls. Helen, if I get arrested, I'll lose any chance of getting a decent job. Sarah will divorce me. Emma will grow up thinking her father is a criminal. Emma will grow up knowing her father took responsibility for his actions. There's a difference. I can't go to jail. Then you should have thought of that before you started committing crimes. We sit in my living room, the weight of his choices settling between us like a wall. What if I pay everyone back? Make it right financially? With what money? You're bankrupt, remember? I could get a job, make payments. Mark, you owe over $100,000 when you count all the fraudulent loans and credit cards. Even with a good job, it would take you decades to pay that back. The number seems to hit him physically. He slumps forward, head in his hands. I've destroyed everything, haven't I? Yes, but admitting that is the first step toward building something real. That afternoon, Sarah calls. Mom, I've made some decisions. I'm listening. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm going to report Mark's fraud to the police. How do you feel about that? Terrified, but also free. I've been living in his web of lies for so long, I forgot what the truth feels like. What about Emma? I've talked to her. She's actually relieved. She said she was tired of everyone, pretending things were okay when they obviously weren't. 3 days later, the police arrest Mark at his temporary apartment. The charges include bank fraud, identity theft, and forgery. He's released on bail, but the damage to his reputation is immediate and total. Sarah moves back in with Tom and me temporarily, while she sorts out her finances. It's not ideal. Our house feels crowded and emotions run high. But it's honest in a way our family dynamics haven't been in years. Emma adjusts to the new reality with the resilience of childhood. She's sad about her parents' divorce, but seems genuinely happier without the constant tension in the house. Grandma, are you still mad at Daddy? She asks one evening while we're making cookies. I'm not mad, sweetheart. I'm disappointed. There's a difference. What's the difference? Mad is when someone hurts you, and you want to hurt them back. Disappointed is when someone hurts you, and you want them to do better. Which one is better? Disappointed. When you're mad, you stay stuck in the hurt. When you're disappointed, you can still hope for change. 2 weeks later, I get a call from James Morrison. Helen, I have some news about Mark's business situation. Good news or bad news? Mixed. The good news is that we've been able to liquidate most of the business assets. The bad news is that after paying off the legitimate business debts, there's almost nothing left. What does that mean for the loans I co-signed? You're still legally responsible for about $60,000. The number hits me like a physical blow. $60,000, a significant chunk of our retirement savings. However, James continues, given Mark's fraud charges, we may be able to pursue civil remedies to recover some of that money. Meaning, we can sue Mark personally for the money he essentially stole through fraudulent business practices. And if we win, then we get a judgment that says he owes you the money. Whether we can actually collect it is another question. That evening, I discussed the situation with Tom. $60,000, he repeats. That's more than I thought. I'm sorry, Tom. I never meant for us to lose our retirement money. Helen, you were trying to help family. You couldn't have known Mark was a criminal, but I knew he was irresponsible. I should have been more careful. Tom takes my hand. We'll be okay. We'll just work a few more years before we retire. It's not the future we planned, but it's honest. There's something to be said for that. A month after Mark's arrest, he comes to see me one last time before his sentencing hearing. Helen, I know I have no right to ask, but would you write a character letter for the judge? I study this man who was once part of my family, noting how prison intake has changed him. He looks smaller, older, defeated. What would I say in this letter, Mark? That I'm not a bad person, that I made mistakes, but I'm not a criminal. But you are a criminal, Mark. You committed crimes. I never meant to hurt anyone. Intent doesn't change the consequences of your actions. He's quiet for a long moment. So you won't write the letter? I'll write a letter, but it won't be the one you want. What do you mean? I'll write a letter that tells the truth, that you're someone who made a series of increasingly dishonest choices that hurt everyone who trusted you, that you need help, but you also need consequences. That's not going to help me. Mark, I'm not trying to help you avoid responsibility anymore. I'm trying to help you face it. After he leaves, I sit down and write the most difficult letter of my life. I tell the judge about Mark's good qualities, his love for Emma, his initial intentions to provide for his family. But I also tell the truth about his pattern of deception, his willingness to victimize the people who trusted him most, and my belief that, without real consequences, he'll never change. It's not a letter designed to minimize his sentence. It's a letter designed to ensure that justice is served while acknowledging his humanity. 2 weeks later, Mark is sentenced to 18 months in federal prison and ordered to pay restitution. It's less time than he could have gotten, but more than he expected. Sarah cries when she hears the news, grieving for the man she thought she married, and the father Emma deserved. Do you think he'll actually change? She asks me. I don't know, but for the first time in years, he's going to have to face the real consequences of his choices. That's a start. As we sit in my kitchen, Emma coloring at the table while Sarah and I talk, I realize that our family is finally beginning to heal. Not because our problems are solved, but because we've stopped pretending they don't exist. The aftermath of truth is always painful, but it's also the only place where real healing can begin. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my backyard with Emma, watching her plant tomatoes in the garden we started together. Sarah is inside, on a video interview for a job that would finally give her financial independence. Grandma, do you think these will grow big? Emma asks, carefully patting soil around a seedling. If we take care of them properly, yes, but it takes time and patience. Like people? I smile at her insight. Exactly like people. Emma has grown up considerably in the past year. She's still 8, still loves dolls and fairy tales. But there's a wisdom in her eyes that comes from watching adults face hard truths and survive them. Grandma, I got a letter from Daddy. From prison? Yes. He says he's learning things. What kind of things? How to be honest, how to say sorry, and mean it. He says he wants to be a better daddy when he gets out. How does that make you feel? Emma considers the question seriously. Hopeful, but also careful. Careful is smart, sweetheart. As Sarah emerges from the house, beaming. I got the job. It's a position with a local nonprofit, managing their finances. The irony isn't lost on any of us. Sarah, who once couldn't balance her own checkbook, will be helping others manage their money responsibly. I'm proud of you, I tell her. I learned from the best, she replies, hugging me. That evening, the 3 generations of women in our family sit around my kitchen table planning Sarah and Emma's move to their own apartment. It's small, modestly priced, and within their actual budget, a concept that feels revolutionary after years of financial chaos. Are you nervous about living on your own? I ask Sarah. Terrified, she admits, but also excited. For the first time in my adult life, I'll know exactly what I can afford and what I can't. And if you have problems, I'll figure them out myself, or ask for advice, not money. It's a distinction that would have been impossible for her to make a year ago. Tom joins us carrying a bottle of wine to celebrate Sarah's new job. To new beginnings, he toasts. To honest beginnings, I amend, and we drink to that. Later, after Sarah and Emma have gone to bed, Tom and I sit on our back porch, watching the sunset paint our garden gold. Do you have any regrets? He asks. I think about the question carefully. The past year has been difficult, confronting. Mark, watching Sarah's marriage fall apart, losing a significant portion of our retirement savings, seeing Emma struggle with her father's incarceration. I regret that it took me so long to stand up for myself, I finally say. I regret that. I enabled Mark's behavior for so long that it became criminal. I regret that Emma had to watch her family fall apart. But I don't regret demanding honesty. I don't regret setting boundaries. I don't regret choosing truth over comfort. Even though it cost us so much. Tom, what did it really cost us? Money we can earn back. But we gained something more valuable, a family that's finally learning to be honest with each other. He reaches over and takes my hand. I'm proud of how you handled everything, even when I was terrified and making it up as I went along. Especially then. Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about doing the right thing even when you are scared. A week later, I get an unexpected visitor. Jane stops by with a business proposal. Helen, I've been thinking. You've become quite the expert on financial fraud and family dynamics. Have you ever considered consulting? Consulting on what? Helping other families who are dealing with financial abuse. There are more situations like yours than you might think. The idea intrigues me. What would that involve? Working with families to identify financial manipulation, helping them understand their legal rights, providing support during confrontations with abusive family members. Jane, I'm not trained for that kind of work. You're trained by experience, which is often more valuable than formal education. Plus, you could get certified in financial counseling if you wanted to make it official. I think about the past year, the research I did, the legal strategies I learned, the emotional strength I developed. Maybe those skills could help other people facing similar situations. Let me think about it, I tell her. 2 weeks later, I enroll in a certification program for financial counseling. At 63, I'm starting a new career, helping families navigate financial conflicts and abuse. My first client comes to me through a referral from Jane. Maria is a 60-year-old grandmother whose adult son has been systematically draining her savings through elaborate sob stories and emotional manipulation. I know he's using me, Maria tells me during our first meeting. But he's my son. How do I say no? Sitting across from her in my home office, I see myself from 2 years ago, loving, generous, and slowly being destroyed by someone who should have been protecting me. Maria, can I tell you something? Love doesn't require you to sacrifice your security, and protecting someone from consequences isn't actually love. It's enabling. Over the next 3 months, I help Maria document her son's financial abuse, connect with legal resources, and most importantly, find the strength to set boundaries. When she finally tells her son that the Bank of Mom is closed permanently, he rages and threatens and tries every manipulation tactic in the book. But Maria holds firm. I learned from the best, she tells me. 6 months into my consulting work, I get a letter that surprises me. It's from Mark, written from federal prison. Dear Helen, I know I have no right to write to you, and I understand if you don't want to read this, but I wanted you to know that I've been thinking a lot about what you said to me before I was sentenced. You were right about everything. I was a coward who chose lying over facing my problems. I was a criminal who victimized the people who loved me most, and I was an entitled brat who expected you to fix my messes without ever acknowledging what you were sacrificing to do it. I'm in therapy here. Real therapy. Not just someone telling me what I want to hear. I'm learning about something called financial abuse, and I'm horrified to realize that's what I was doing to Sarah, to you, to everyone who tried to help me. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I see now what I couldn't see then. You weren't the problem in our family. You were the solution, and I was too selfish and scared to acknowledge it. I hope Sarah and Emma are doing well. I hope you're proud of the work you're doing helping other families. Jane told Sarah about your consulting business, and Sarah told me in her last letter. It sounds like you're turning your pain into purpose, which is more than I ever did with mine. I have 8 more months left here. When I get out, I plan to get a regular job and pay back every penny I owe, to the bank, to the government, and to you. It will take years, maybe decades, but I will do it. Not because I expect anything in return, but because it's the right thing to do. Thank you for refusing to enable me anymore. Thank you for choosing truth over comfort. Thank you for showing Emma what real strength looks like. I will always be sorry for what I did to our family. Mark. I read the letter twice, then set it down. On my desk. Tom finds me there an hour later, staring out the window at the garden where Emma and I planted those tomatoes the year before. From Mark? He asks, noting the prison envelope. Yes, he's apologizing. For real this time. How does that make you feel? I consider the question. Cautiously hopeful, and proud of myself for not giving in to the urge to write back and tell him everything's forgiven. You're not going to respond? Not yet. Maybe not ever. Forgiveness isn't something he gets to demand from me, even with a sincere apology. It's something I get to choose to give, if and when I'm ready. Tom nods. Wise woman. That evening, Sarah comes over for dinner, a weekly tradition we've maintained since she moved into her own apartment. Emma bounces in the door with a school project in her hands. Grandma, look what I made. It's a family tree carefully drawn and colored. At the center is a strong oak tree with deep roots. The branches spread wide, with names written on leaves. What strikes me is how she's arranged it. Not in the traditional hierarchical way, but as an interconnected web where everyone supports everyone else. Emma, this is beautiful. Tell me about it. Well, see, you and Grandpa Tom are the roots, because you keep everyone grounded, and Mommy is the trunk, because she's getting stronger every day, and I'm up here in the branches because I'm still growing. Where's Daddy? Emma points to a leaf that's fallen from the tree but lies close to the roots. He's not connected, right now because he made bad choices, but he's still part of the tree. Maybe someday he can grow back on. The wisdom of children never ceases to amaze me. Later, After Emma has gone to bed in the guest room, where she stays every Friday night, Sarah and I sit in the kitchen with tea. "Mom, I have something to tell you." "I'm listening." "I've been dating someone." I feel a flutter of protectiveness, but I keep my voice calm. "Tell me about him." "His name is David. He's a teacher at Emma's school. He's kind, patient, and most importantly, he's honest about everything. His finances, his past, his feelings." "How long have you been seeing him?" 3 months. I wanted to be sure before I introduced him to Emma or told you. "And, you sure?" Sarah smiles. "I'm sure he's a good man. I'm sure I enjoy spending time with him. I'm sure Emma likes him. Beyond that, I'm taking it one day at a time." "That sounds healthy." "I learned from watching you that it's okay to be cautious. It's okay to demand honesty. It's okay to expect to be treated with respect." We sit in comfortable silence for a moment, listening to the night sounds through the open window. "Mom, do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't stood up to Mark when you did?" I think about it. He probably would have continued his fraudulent behavior until it eventually caught up with him anyway. But by then, the damage would have been much worse. You might have lost your house, your credit, maybe even faced criminal charges yourself if you were on any of his accounts. So by confronting him, you actually saved us. I saved all of us from living in denial. Whether that translates to salvation depends on what we do with the truth. 6 months later, I'm sitting in a courthouse, not as a defendant or plaintiff, but as a victim impact witness. Mark is being released early for good behavior, and part of his parole requirements include a restitution hearing. He looks different, thinner, grayer, but somehow more solid. Prison has aged him, but it's also given him a gravity he never had before. When it's my turn to speak, I stand at the podium and look directly at him. "Your Honor, the defendant cost my family over $60,000 in direct financial losses. But the real damage was deeper than money. Mark Hoffman taught my granddaughter that love means accepting lies. He taught my daughter that marriage means sacrificing your autonomy. He taught me that kindness makes you a target for exploitation." I pause, gathering my thoughts. However, I want the court to know that Mark's crimes, while devastating, also gave our family an unexpected gift, the gift of truth. When his web of lies finally collapsed, we were forced to confront some uncomfortable realities about ourselves. We learned to set boundaries, to demand honesty, to value ourselves properly. I look at Mark directly now. "I don't forgive you for what you did to our family, but I thank you for inadvertently teaching us who we really are." The judge orders Mark to continue making restitution payments and to complete 2 years of supervised probation with mandatory financial counseling. As I leave the courthouse, Mark approaches me hesitantly. "Helen, I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need you to know I heard every word you said in there. And you're right, I don't deserve forgiveness, but maybe someday I can earn the chance to ask for it properly. Mark, forgiveness isn't about what you deserve. It's about what I choose to give. And right now, I choose to focus on building the life I want, rather than relitigating the life you damaged." He nods, understanding in his eyes for the first time. "I hope Emma will want to know me someday." "That will be Emma's choice to make, when she's old enough to understand what that means." 2 years later, I'm hosting Emma's 10th birthday party in my backyard. The garden has flourished, and tomatoes hang heavy on the vines we planted together. Sarah and David are engaged, planning a small wedding for next spring. My consulting business has grown to the point where I'm booked solid, helping families navigate financial conflicts. Emma opens her gifts, laughing with friends from school and cousins from Tom's side of the family. It's a full, happy gathering. Proof that families can heal and grow even after devastating betrayals. As the party winds down and guests begin to leave, Emma finds me in the kitchen washing dishes. "Grandma, this was the best birthday ever." "I'm so glad, sweetheart." "Grandma, I got a card from Daddy." I pause in my scrubbing. "How does that make you feel?" "Confused, happy, sad, all at the same time." "That makes perfect sense. You can love someone and still be hurt by them. You can miss someone and still be angry at them. Do you think he's really changed?" I dry my hands and turn to face her. I think he's trying to change. Whether he succeeds is something only time will tell. "Are you ever going to forgive him?" It's a question I've been wrestling with for 3 years. Maybe someday, Em. But forgiveness doesn't mean pretending the hurt didn't happen. It means deciding not to let that hurt control your life anymore. I think I understand. That night, after everyone has gone home and the dishes are done, Tom and I sit on our back porch with glasses of wine, watching fireflies dance in the garden. "Any regrets?" he asks, the same question he asked me 2 years ago. About standing up to Mark? None. About taking so long to find my backbone. Every day. You found it when you needed it most. I suppose, though I sometimes wonder what I could have accomplished if I'd discovered my strength earlier in life. Helen, you raised a daughter who learned to recognize financial abuse and escape it. You're helping dozens of families avoid the pain we went through. You showed your granddaughter what it looks like to demand respect. I'd say you've accomplished plenty. The fireflies blink their ancient signals in the growing darkness, and I think about the difference between revenge and justice, between punishment and accountability, between enabling and love. Mark cost us money, security, and peace of mind, but in forcing us to confront hard truths about ourselves, he also gave us something precious. The knowledge that we were stronger than we thought, more valuable than we'd been taught to believe, and worthy of respect even from the people we love most. It's not the family story I would have chosen to live, but it's the one that taught us who we really are. And sometimes, that's worth more than all the money in the world. As I sit in my garden on this perfect summer evening, surrounded by the literal and metaphorical fruits of our labor, I realize that the best revenge isn't about making someone else suffer for their mistakes. The best revenge is building a life so honest, so authentic, and so full of genuine love that the lies that once defined your relationships become impossible to sustain. Mark may have called me a financial burden, but in the end, he was the one who couldn't carry the weight of his own deceptions. And we learned to fly.